Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, we thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube page a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you watched yesterday's video where I did my weekly Braves review, then you already know that today's video is going to be my weekly NASCAR review. I also try to do these once a week as well for all the NASCAR fans out there, because I know there are some passionate NASCAR fans. And of course, tomorrow, since it is Wednesday, I'll be doing my weekly top 10. And if you watched my Braves review yesterday, you heard me say that this week's top 10 countdown is not going to be sports based or wrestling based, so stay tuned tomorrow to find out what it's going to be about. And I'll go ahead and say that my friend Anthony asked me to do the top 10 all-time WWE finishers. So that'll be next week's, not top 10, not tomorrow, but next week. And he asked me specifically WWE top 10. You know, I've been doing a lot of top 10s that are wrestling based, but they have not been based on a certain company. They've been all companies, you know, in all time in wrestling. But he specifically asked for all-time WWE finishers. So that's what we'll do next week. So if you have any thoughts on that, please feel free to go ahead and let me know if you have a certain WWE finisher that you like, whether it's a male or female, and whether it's current or old. It doesn't matter as long as it's in the WWE. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether or not what you tell me is going to be in the countdown. You'll have to wait until next week, but we can still chat about it. I love getting comments, and I try my best to respond to anybody and everybody that comments on the page. I always love getting feedback. It lets me know people enjoy what we talk about here on the channel. And let me go ahead and say, kicking off my NASCAR review, that normally I work on Sundays, so I have to go back and watch the race either that night when I get home or sometime later on that week. But I was actually off this Sunday, so I got to watch the race live. And a few people have complained, but the people that have complained about the race are generally the old school or older NASCAR fans that just do not like road course racing. And no matter what NASCAR does and where they go, if it's not an oval, they just don't like it. But I'll say I thoroughly enjoyed the race. And I've talked to some people that are NASCAR fans that actually went to the race, and they said that there was a lot of fans that were there that were age 40 or age 35 and younger. So it's good to see the younger generation getting into NASCAR, even if it was a road course. And that was the first time on that track. And I hope that Circuit of the Americas, or as NASCAR calls it, COTA, because of the fact that Circuit of the Americas is so long and so hard to say, I hope it becomes a yearly track on the schedule, because I hated the fact that they called the race with 14 laps to go. That would be my only complaint, is that they didn't finish the race. But outside of that, I thought the racing was very good and very entertaining. Now, there was one time, I think it was about lap 19, I think it was 18, something like that, where Martin Truex Jr. and Kevin Harvick had separate accidents on the same lap in different spots on the track, and they both blamed it on the rain. Now, I know they had rain tires, but Truex and Harvick both said it wasn't the fact they had rain tires, it was the fact they had so many cautions so close together that the cars were so bundled up, and the rain was coming off of the tires of the car in front of you and hitting your windshield, and you had no time to react. And Truex and Harvick both said that that's what caused them to be in an accident, and that's why with 14 laps to go, they went ahead and called the race, because it was raining really hard. and about 5 or 6 drivers, even the ones that didn't win the race, came out and said that was probably the right decision, because if you couldn't see earlier in the race, and now it's almost nighttime and it's raining even harder, and according to the weather radar, the rain wasn't letting up no time soon, so they went ahead and called the race. That would be my only complaint, but outside of that, I thought the racing was phenomenal. I wanted to see him finish just because I didn't think Chase Elliott would have won the race if they would have finished. His crew chief even said they were about 2 laps short on fuel. So I wanted to see if he was going to try to make it those 2 laps and stretch it out as long as he could, or was he going to run out of gas, or was he going to not take the chance and go ahead and come down pit lane with 3 or 4 laps to go, and if so, who was going to win the race. But unfortunately, because of the rain, we didn't get to see that. But they did run 54 of the 68 laps. It was only a 68-lap race because that racetrack is 20 turns and it's 3.5 miles. So 68 laps was almost 340 miles, and that's plenty of miles on that racetrack. If you have not watched the race, I encourage you to go back and watch it. And for all you Chase Elliott fans, I'm sure all of you guys are happy. He's now the 10th different winner so far this season. That's his first win of the season. He now has 12 career wins, but 6 of them are on road courses. So more than likely, if it's not a road course, he's not going to win. But if it is a road course, he is going to win. And of course, they used to only have 2 road courses per season, and this year they're going to have 7. I would say you can suffice it to say that Chase is probably going to win 3 or 4 of the road course races this year, but he probably won't win anywhere else this season except for on the road courses. He definitely does good at road courses, and he may have won if they would have ran the last 14 laps, but I don't think he would have. But I know not everybody's a Kurt Busch fan, but I will say with 15 laps to go, just right before they called the race because of rain, Kurt Busch hydroplaned. And I can't remember the second driver, but one of the drivers was Kyle Busch. And it was Kyle Busch and somebody else right behind him. And Kurt Busch was behind them. And he felt himself hydroplaned, and he knew that he was not going to make it around that turn since he hydroplaned. So he drove his race car between Kyle Busch and whoever was right behind Kyle Busch and wiggled in between them and did not hit them and drove straight into the gravel, turned his car around, and got back on the racetrack. So even if you don't watch the entire race, I encourage you to go back and watch that. Whether you're a fan of Kurt Busch or not, doesn't matter. That was a phenomenal job of driving that he did. Now, it took him from the top 10 back to about 25th, but the fact that he wiggled between his brother and the car right behind him and went in between them and didn't touch them, and both them drivers missed him, and then he went to the gravel and turned around and came back on the racetrack and didn't hit anybody, was one of the best driving jobs I've seen since years and years ago when Ricky Craven did everything but wreck at Atlanta Motor Speedway back in about 2001 or somewhere along in there. But if you're a NASCAR fan or know someone who is, please feel free to leave me your comments about what you thought of the race after you watch it. I know nobody likes seeing a race get cut short unless you're a Chase Elliott fan. Maybe you did, because I don't think he would have won the race if they would have gone the final 14 laps. And that was the only downfall of the race, in my personal opinion. I know last week on my NASCAR review, I talked about Brad Keselowski possibly leaving Penske. And that was Thursday last week when I did my NASCAR review. And then Thursday night, they came out and said that it's all but confirmed, without being confirmed, that it looks like he's going to Jack Roush, and if he does, he will become part owner, and Roush Fenway Racing will become Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, and they're going to call it RFK for short. Now, they have not said what number he'll go into, but to me, Roush Fenway Racing has been on the downfall ever since Mark Martin left. So I don't think they have the funds to start a third team. So my prediction is they'll fire Ryan Newman and put Brad Keselowski in the 6th car. And if they do that, will Ryan Newman retire? Or will he go back to Penske, which is where he started at years ago, and jump in the 2 car? Or will he start driving for some underfunded team? But I will say, if Newman does retire or not get the 2 car, I would love to see Matt DiBenedetto getting that 2 car, because I think Matt DiBenedetto has talent. He's just always had to drive for underfunded teams, and I think he would do good in that 2 car. Even if he only gets a 1-year deal to prove what he's worth, I think he'd prove he's actually a really good race car driver. But also at the Circuit of the Americas, Stage 2 ended with Corey LaJoie being in the top 5, so it goes to show how good the racing was at the Circuit of the Americas this past Sunday. But the top 10 was Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson finished 2nd again. He loves 2nd place. Joey Logano was 3rd. Ross Chastain, who actually led for a while, looked good in that 42 car, finished 4th. And A.J. Allmendinger, driving part-time for Colleague Racing, rounded out the top 5. And 6 through 10 was Chase Briscoe getting his best finish of the season. The Daytona 500 winner, Michael McDowell, finished 7th. Alex Bowman, last week's winner, was 8th. Tyler Reddick was 9th. And Kyle Busch was 10th. Kyle Busch also led for some of the race, but his crew chief thought they were a little bit short on fuel. So Kyle Busch actually came in like 3 laps before the race was called to get fuel and to change his tires, because he said the racetrack had gotten really slick, but he still finished in 10th place, so he managed to bring home a top 10. And the points right now, of course, now they're a little more than halfway through the regular season, so now we're going by wins and stage points and not just overall points. So, of course, the leader is Martin Truex Jr. because he's already got 3 wins this season, but he had a bad race Sunday. Alex Bowman, who has 2 wins, is in 2nd place, and then it's William Byron, Kyle Larson, and Joey Logano rounding out the top 5 in the points. And 6 through 10 is Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, and Christopher Bell, who got his first career win earlier this season back in February, rounds out the top 10 right now in the points. This Sunday, they're back on the racetrack. Of course, it's Memorial Day weekend, so all you NASCAR fans know that means it's Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Coca-Cola 600. They'll be there at 5:30 Sunday afternoon. I believe the green flag is going to drop shortly after 6 o'clock Sunday night. So if you're a NASCAR fan or know someone who is, please feel free to go ahead and leave me your comments and your thoughts on who you think is going to win the Coca-Cola 600 this upcoming Sunday. And after you watch the Circuit of the Americas race from this past Sunday, please feel free to tell me what you thought about the race. I would love to chit-chat about it. I thought it was an incredible race. And like I said, that's now, after one time racing on it, my new favorite road course, because it's so much different than Sonoma and so much different than Watkins Glen. So I thoroughly enjoyed the racing action. There was never a time where the cars got really spread out and the racing just got boring. And like I said, Corey LaJoie finishing in 5th place in stage number 2 tells you how competitive and how good the race was. And Ross Chastain finishing in 4th place tells you how good the race was this past Sunday. Before we get out of here, I'll go ahead and say that people are shocked when they find out I'm not a very good electrician. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. If you're a college football fan, please feel free to go back and watch my video from this past Sunday where I gave my thoughts on why I'm struggling to decide who I think is going to win this year between Clemson and Georgia. Even if you're not a fan of either team, you can give me your prediction of who you think is going to win the game, or who you want to win the game. Or if you're like me and you can't decide, please feel free to go ahead and tell me that too, because I really honestly have no idea who I think is going to win that game. Right now, Clemson's still a 3-point favorite. But even if Georgia was a 3-point favorite, I would still say I can't decide, because I think both teams' strengths are the same, but I think both teams' weaknesses are the same. So I don't think either team has a leg up in any certain area. Thank God the game is still 3 months away, so I've still got time to make a decision, and I'll decide who I think is going to win the game before the season gets here. But as of right now, here in late May, I really have no idea who I think is going to win that game. But until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.